Hi, in this video we're going to take a look at how to say to finish in Dutch. But first of all, I'd like to thank you for all the very nice comments I've received on this channel and for all future nice comments I've received on this channel. It's really a pleasure to read them. So thanks for that, and now let's go to finish. When a student asks like very quickly, hey, how do you say to finish in Dutch? Then I'm like, oh, no, it's something very long. As you can see from the length of this video, it's not something you simply say. It's not just one word. And well, by the end of this video, unfortunately, you will only have an introduction of how to say to finish, because there are a lot of sensitivities. And when you hear someone using the wrong verb as a native speaker, then you will be like, hey, but you're using the wrong verb, because there are so many, sensitivities that in some cases you can only use one verb, and in the other case you can use more than one verb, and so on and so on. So it's more than just this video, unfortunately, but let's see an introduction of how to say to finish. And there are 5 ways to say to finish. For example, to complete. It has ways in Dutch to say to complete something, to wrap up something, to end or to put an end to something, to be done or to be ready, and then in combination with prepositions. So these are the 5 ways or equivalents you can find in English, and we're going to see them one by one, and we're going to start with the first one, obviously. To complete. How do you say to complete? And complete is when, for example, you have a task or a project you have to complete. Then we're going to use afmaken, afwerken, or voltooien. Voltooien sounds a little formal, but okay. And afmaken and afwerken are separable verbs. And if you have no idea about what separable verbs are, well, then click on the link you see appearing up here on the card, and then you'll learn everything about separable verbs. Now, assuming that you know what separable verbs are, we're going to see an example. Ze moeten hun huiswerk afmaken. They have to complete their homework. And you might think, well, finish, it sounds they have to finish their homework, right? And that's true. But for the sake of finding the right translation into Dutch, we're going to say here we have to complete, or they have to complete their homework. So it's the word you would use most often to replace to finish, and then we're going to go to afmaken, afwerken, and voltooien. Second one is to convey the meaning of wrapping up or concluding, and there we have 2 verbs, afsluiten and afronden, and they're both also separable verbs. For example, morgen ronden we de deal af. Tomorrow we'll be wrapping up the deal, or we'll be concluding the deal. All right. Afsluiten or afronden. In some cases, you can also translate it as to complete or to finalize, but the idea here is to finding the right word in Dutch, and then wrapping up or concluding. Then your best bet is afsluiten or afronden. Afsluiten, by the way, also means to close, to hermetically close also. So typically when you're having a meeting, you would wrap up the meeting, and then we're going to use afsluiten and afronden. All right. Third one is to end or to put an end to, or to finish. Obviously, like all the options here, finish is what this video is about. And how do you say to end or to put an end to? Eindigen. en beëindigen. Eindigen, for example, ze eindigde eerste. She ended first, or she finished first in a race or something. En dan heb je het kunnen beëindigen. Were you able to finish or to put an end to it? Question mark. All right? So that's to end and to put an end to. To end has a bit of a connotation that it's a little bit passive. Like when you're watching a sports game and it ends after, I don't know, 1 hour, then, well, you didn't do much to end that game. You weren't the one to put an end to it. And then if you want to be saying that the referee puts an end to the game, then you would use beëindigen. Also, beëindigen can be used to say when you're ending something before it was due to end. For example, if in that sports game something happened, I don't know, there was a fire in the place where the sports game was taking place, and then the referee had to put an end before the game was supposed to end. So then you're going to use beëindigen. You're not going to be using other verbs in that case. All right, so to put an end to, or to finish. Next one, to be done. For example, when you're saying, my homework's done, or the kids are done with their drawing, then you're going to say, de kinderen zijn klaar met hun tekening. Klaar zijn. And there's another one, gedaan zijn. Literally to be done. Well, the other way around. Gedaan, done, and zijn, to be. And there's also af zijn. That also means to be done. Or to be ready. Klaar zijn is ready, to be done, to be, well, gedaan zijn, and af zijn. Important here, when you're talking about people, when you say, I'm done, then do not use gedaan or af. Use klaar. Klaar zijn. Ik ben klaar. I am ready. Or I'm done. Alright? Very important that. And now we're going to go to the one that is, well, the trickiest. Let's take an example here. Heb je het uitgelezen? Did you finish reading it? Or when the context, when you're reading a book and you put it aside and someone else asks, well, are you finished? Then we're going to use uitgelezen. And this is really, really tricky because you can't say, heb je het boek afgemaakt or afgewerkt? No. And this is something you have to feel. Uit is a preposition and it's used with the verb to read, uitlezen. And this is what you typically do with a book or something you read. Then you're not going to use all the other alternatives. You're going to use uitlezen. For example, a newspaper. If you've finished reading a newspaper, well, then you're going to use uitlezen. And there are many of those verbs using uit plus a preposition. Unfortunately, it's a long list. As I said earlier, it's something you have to listen to, and then you're like, oh, okay. And then you should ask about it to the person that said it, and ask a little bit, hey, is this verb typically used with that one? Uit drinken, for example, to finish drinking is also with uit. All right. There's another preposition. It's op. We eten de cake op. We finish the cake, or we finish eating the cake. And can you say, ik eet de cake uit? No, ik eet de cake op. We eten de cake op. That's with eten, op. Eten. And this is also tricky because there are some verbs that use op as a preposition, but it doesn't have much to do with to finish. For example, these two, doe het licht niet uit, don't switch the light off. Well, uit is to finish, right? Well, to switch off, okay, the light finishes, you could somehow relate, but it doesn't really mean to finish, right? So pay attention, some of these prepositions do not have the meaning of to finish. Another one is, ze is opgestaan. She stood up, like after sleeping, then you stand up from your bed. Ze is opgestaan, but also she stands up, like normally to stand up. And there, it doesn't really mean anything to finish standing. No, it's to get up. All right. So remember, I can't stress this enough. Finish isn't easy. It takes some time, but to complete, to wrap up, to end, and to be done, pay attention that you're already using the right one there. And for the uit and the op, well, when you hear it, write it down and remember it. All right. So this question was asked by MC Cat, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If you have a question about Dutch, feel free to post it in the comments. And if you have a compliment to give, I will be really, really, really happy to read it. So, tot ziens.